Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello. Okay, so we're gonna. Oh, hello, hello. Okay, I guess I have to remember that I need the mic. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Welcome, welcome. I am going to let our viewers come on in. We have special guest Jeremiah here. You guys will get to see all of the truth when it comes to Jeremiah. And there he goes. Hey, son. Are you going to do this interview with mommy? Come on. You going to do this interview with mommy? Okay. Say hello to the people. No. You say hello. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Look. You say hello. Get the camera. Say hi. Hi. All right. So I'm excited, guys. We are starting a bit late, as you guys can see. This was actually not intentional. We were up and actually ready. As soon as we were getting ready to go live at 7:30 Eastern, I received a phone call, very important phone call that I had to pick up. And so I thought that the phone call would be short, but it wasn't. It wasn't short at all. So Jeremiah is up here with us, and honestly, he is sleepy, but we are going to do what we need to do. We're good to go? Yep. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I'll give it probably about another minute. This will be recorded. So if you are seeing this after the fact, good. We ask that you please come in and share your thoughts and your feelings. So this is actually something that Ashton and I had mentioned to Ashton a while back, and it was just something where I wanted to interview him. I sometimes will call myself a fake chef, and in this case, a fake interviewer. And so that's what we're gonna do today. What's the problem, Ash? Okay, so let me make sure we're good on Instagram. May have to, let's see here. Okay. All right, so let's try to do this another way. So we got to get our Instagram added. If you've just coming in, hello. This is really the first live, I think, where me and Ashton both are doing the live, and Jeremiah is being Jeremiah. He is mobile, y'all. He is mobile. He doesn't allow us to forget it either. All right, so son, you want your milk? There we go. Hey, hello, hello. There go mother-in-law. Do you hear your grandchild? All right, ready to go, Ashton? So this one is going to be, as you can already see, up close and personal. Very much. This is my first time interviewing, I believe. Yeah, I think it's the first time interviewing. So we'll go ahead and yes, he is showing out. Jeremiah is showing out, guys. This is the real Jeremiah. His grandparents don't want to admit, but he is definitely a force. All right. So Dirt Road Diary just came out on yesterday. Wow. So we are absolutely celebrating. I don't think oftentimes many know exactly what all goes into making a project. And that is going to definitely be something I would like to talk about tonight. Okay. All right, so let's get started actually. All right, well, hello, y'all. Hello. You guys, I hope you can hear us okay. We have the mic. Hey, PA. Thank you for joining. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and introduce ourselves. So I'll get started with the man of the hour. Actually, I'll let him introduce himself. Guys, I just have to hold this mic because to me, it looks so official that I have this mic right here. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you again. Thank you guys for joining us here today. This is the Dirt Road Diaries live. So Ashton Stevens just released his new project, Dirt Road Diaries, live. And I'm sorry, we're going live to talk about it. So this is going to be what I call a musical heart to heart with who you guys know. Some of you, Ashton Stevens. His mother is on there. So mom, but who obviously is near and dear husband to me. So I'll let him introduce himself. You guys may just see us getting up because we have our son here in the background and he is on it. He is very much on it. So Ashton, I'll let you first introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good? My name's Ashton, artist. My name Ashton Stevens. Formerly known as Ashton Martin, also still known as Ashton Martin in some ways. And yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. And yeah, that's me.
And as you guys know, I am Dicuria, but you are more than welcome to call me Di. And yes, PA, we have Jeremiah. Shout out to him. You are going to hear Jeremiah. He is very much vocal and loud, but I guess he is just like his parents. So there is that. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We again appreciate whether you are live with us currently or you are watching this after the fact. We are very appreciative of that. And so, as I had briefly stated, I wanted just to, this is something that Ashton and I had spoken about, honestly, months ago, actually, probably months ago. And we just never went forward in doing so. So Ashton brought it back up earlier this week and I'm like, "Oh great, let's do it then. Let's go ahead and do it." So what I appreciate about what we're going to talk about today, which by the way, Ashton doesn't know what we're going to talk about, and I barely know what we're going to discuss, but oftentimes we'll receive feedback on, I want to know a little bit more into your day. I want to know about what you do, what you eat, right? And also on the music side, Ashton is making his music. He's creating, he's working like with PA on the track. He's working with different creatives. And while we live in the same house and obviously he's my husband, I don't actually get to be visible for all of the creativity, all the things that's happening. A lot of times he's simply telling me about things that happen. And so what I would like to do is of course I am going to talk with him. I feel like if there's anyone who's going to ask these up close and personal questions, it could be me. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. I have just a few questions on here that I did want to ensure that I ask because these are questions that we've heard over the past. So first things first, Ashton, of course I have to talk about this before we get into some personal stuff. We're going to get this thing warmed up here, but you just released another project, right? So please tell us first off, how do you feel about this project so far, right? Dirt Road Diaries. And I would love to really know how it all came together. And I know that's an open-ended question and that's intentional.
Yeah. So I feel pretty good about this project. It's a feel good project, literally. That's one thing I will say about it. Also, shout out to PA, shout out to mom that's tuning in right now. That I can see. Mind you, we going off a different platform. So if you are viewing and I don't see you, it's not that I'm overlooking you or anything like that. I'm just multitasking right now. But I would say like if this project I feel good about it. It's one that I'm really proud of. And I know I may you like, well, aren't you proud of every project? You got so many that you release over the years. In the beginning, I'm usually not as proud of them. I know that sounds crazy, but it takes some time for them to grow on me as well. But this is one, as soon as we was finished with it, I was proud of this project, man. And I knew it was gonna be one of them ones. Um, as far as creating it and what went into creating it, how it came together, to be honest with you, I have just as much on that as y'all. I have no idea how this project came together. I'll say it started a year ago. I had recorded 2 songs, and I thought had came across my head. I was like, man, it'd be dope if I made a full project like this that's geared back to hometown, back to Florida, that's geared to feel good music. I always wanted to make something that if I was to play this at a barbecue, you know what I'm saying, or a cookout or a family reunion, you could literally start from one and go through the whole thing and let it ride. And I always said I wanted to do a project like this. We was coming off the end of finishing up Jubilee, and once we were wrapping that project up, I was thinking another project that I'm not going to speak on right now was coming up next. And then, God kind of told me like, yeah, you remember that one project a year ago, you thought about, let's do that. And a matter of fact, let's hurry up and get that done because we need it out by the summer. And that's kind of how this project came together. From there, it was getting to work on it. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was going to be a certain way. I thought it was going to be more of just like a very very free flowing project. I thought it was going to be more of a freestyle, but as we began to putting it together, it became more conceptual, especially with the type of vibes. I'm thinking like, oh, this ain't gonna take too much thought for real. You know, I'm just gonna come into it. And honestly, I didn't put too much thought. I didn't put a lot of thought as you may think, but it became a conceptual project, and you know that's kind of how it really just came together. Honestly, I have no idea how this project came together, but I'm grateful for this project, and I'm grateful that it came together the way it did.
So I'm really interested. I love the title Dirt Road Diaries. Tell us how you came about with that name, the actual title.
So I'm from Jackson County, and in Jackson County there's a lot of what it used to be. That's not as many as it used to be, but growing up there used to be a lot of dirt roads. You know what I'm saying? And I I would say that I was kind of raised on a lot of these dirt roads. Someone in particular I was very much raised on. And so to me it's like a callback to my upbringing where I'm from, but also in a sense of a diary. You know what I'm saying? A diary is entries. A diary is something that's building to page by page, day by day. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just life representing of A, where I come from, and B, where I'm at now. And I think that was like the biggest thing behind um calling it Dirt Road Diaries. Also, it's also a representation of like humble beginnings. You know what I'm saying? So you think of dirt roads, people usually think of that as far as like a very, very humbling beginning in that diary. And that it's kind of like the experience of coming from a place that is kind of some people would say a humble beginning, you know what I'm saying? But also in the sense of a place that's very overlooked. I really wanted to give a highlight on where I'm from because I feel like where I'm from is very, very overlooked. Of course, when people hear it, they automatically think of Florida. But when people think of Florida, they automatically go to South Florida. They go to Central Florida. They rarely go to where we're actually from, which is the Panhandle, which is the 850, which is Jackson County, Mariana. You know what I'm saying? That those places usually get overlooked, and I really wanted to highlight that in this project, and that was part of the reason why I named it Dirt Road Diary. Or if anything, I could have named like Florida, anything, Florida Diary or something like that. But I really wanted to be very, very specific and repping, you know what I'm saying, where I'm from specifically, and not just being general like just Florida, you know what I'm saying, but really, really giving a call back to where I'm from. So it's kind of like all three of those combined into the title, and that I think that kind of represents the whole project as itself as well.
I love that. I love that. So this is a great segue actually into the to my next question, right? You spoke about humble beginnings and where you were from. And maybe people don't know that your I mean, although to me you've spoken about it quite often, but I would love for you to talk about your upbringing, right? We know you're from we of course we're from the same place, guys, believe it or not. But I would love for you to talk about your upbringing, what that looked like, and then how you even got into music, because I love it when you tell that story, simply because there's been such a transformation. So would love for you to share that with our guests today.
So again, I was born and raised in Mariana, Florida. Um, my mom's in here today. I was raised in a single parent household, but as well as very much having my father in my life as well too. And I come from what I usually say is where I'm from is usually the area where my grandparents is from, because that's where most of my family is. Jerusalem, some people call it Creek, some people call it South, like whatever, it's a lot of different areas. I call it Jerusalem because that's the church that I grew up going to, you know what I'm saying? But depending on the church you went to, the specific part of that area where you're from, you gonna call it something different. But yeah, that's where if when people be like the side of town, that's where I'm from. But honestly, I grew up all over the you know what I'm saying, we been around almost every part of the city, you know what I'm saying. Greenwood, that's another place that is very, very present in my upbringing. You know, I spent a lot of time in my youth in that area as well. But you know, all over Mariana, honestly, almost every part of Mariana, I didn't at least stayed in, or I was roaming around in, or I got family over there. So my upbringing, honestly, bro, I think I was just like any other kid. You know, any other boy, I say it like that. I was very heavily family oriented early on. I think for me, I kind of had I think what makes me a lot of who I am today, because people usually be like, man, you very, I guess, disciplined or very like respectful in a sense. And I think that comes from just how I was raised, my parents, my grandparents, but also I think I had I always had responsibility, you know what I'm saying? I'm the oldest of my siblings. So I always had responsibility as far as being the older sibling and also being an older cousin, because a lot of people in my family, honestly, I think it's like this on both sides of my family, but there was a gap, you know, between uh the previous generation and my generation. And I was kind of like the first of that generation on both sides. And so most of my cousins are like either like right at my age or they're younger than me. So I was used to having like a lot of younger cousins around me, and just having that type of responsibility on myself. But I think I was just, you know, active kid, happy kid, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really nothing that I feel like was super different from my upbringing, versus looking at the people that was around me. Um, I'll say with music, I feel like I kind of always been around music in some way, shape, or form. I know my mama listened to a lot of soul, a lot of R&B, a lot of gospel, and I was around that. You know what I'm saying? I always steal her CDs. 20, she'll tell you, always take her CDs, go play it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes she won't get them. She won't see them CDs back again. Um, Drums. I remember the drums being early. You know, I remember my dad give me a drum set, playing that very, very early. I remember just being in church, being around the choir, my father being the choir director, grandma being in the choir, even my grandpa playing the guitar a little bit. Um, Older cousins doing music, you know what I'm saying, seeing that growing up. So I kind of was already always around music. I think what kind of got me into music myself personally was just seeing the natural talent that I had for it. I think as a kid, you kind of want to find a thing that you're good at, because um in a sense, younger kids, especially younger boys, could be younger girls too, but I think we find some way to kind of seek attention in a sense. And I think that's why a lot of us get into sports, a thing like that. Because when you're real good in sports, you kind of get that, you know, that look, that eyesight, or that praise, you know what I'm saying, that I think we all kind of deep down want as a child. And I think early on, I seen with music, it got me praise from my peers just by being good with words. You know what I'm saying? For me, I think it started more with poetry, and then it moved on to rap, because rap was what was popular. You know what I'm saying? Poetry was cool, but poetry wasn't getting you the clap. You know what I'm saying? The, hey, that's hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't giving you the homie approval or the big cousin approval. It was rapping. You know what I'm saying? You know, I remember having a lot of older people around me like, bro, you got to hear this little dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing that, it kind of inspired me to kind of keep going with it. And then like from there, like really learning like, oh, you can really tell your story with this, or you can really like say how you feel with this, or you can really like make someone else feel a certain type of way with this. And I think that's what really got me into music. By high school, I was like I was like in it. I was like, bro, I love this right here. If there's some way I could find a way to make this into a living, I definitely want to do this. And I told Shan before I was like, I want to be a scientist. It went from scientist into, you know, music after that. You know, so I think it was scientist. Then I had an NBA phase that I think almost every boy has with some type of sports, and then it was music for sure after that.
I love it. Thank you for elaborating on that. While he was talking about, but I've been around everywhere. I just want to address this because I think it was a couple of days ago
Mhm.
we were talking, and um I think he said something like Two Egg is not a real place or whatever. So Two Egg, just for those who doesn't know, it's a small town outside of Mariana, and that's actually where I grew up. I grew up in Two Egg. I lived on Flat Road for most of my life, so I just needed to address that. I guess when he said he's been everywhere, he doesn't claim the Two Egg area because he believes that's not a real area.
Technically, I never lived in Tued, to be real with you. I was right there. I was always in Greenwood, but I never was in Tued. I'm not going to diss Tued because, you know what I'm saying, this project is representing those places that are very overlooked. And Tued is a very overlooked place. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't, I'm not going to be disrespectful to Tued. Shout out to Tued. Just know, if for those who don't know, Tued is like, you drive down the street about 5 miles. That's Tued. Like literally, you go from point A and then next thing you know, point B, you out of Tued. You be like, damn, I never even knew I was in a different place. That's kind of how Tued is. But shout out Tued, man. Shout out,
Thank you, Ashton, for that. Because just as easy as he wanted to dismiss Two Egg, there's other bigger cities dismissing us, our hometown. But I wanted to yes, and shout out to Two Egg, shout out to the Root. So something I wanted to, I want to pick something up real quick. So I'll be one thing that if you don't know me, you wouldn't know, but my mind sometimes I remember when I was working at this one job supervisor. I was a supervisor there at AT&T. And one of the guys on my team, his name is Sterling. Shout out to Sterling, but he would say squirrel, and it would just throw me off. Right? It was from some show, some movie. So we're gonna be doing a few of these squirrel segments throughout, like when I feel like things maybe needs a little pick me ups or whatnot, because I want to keep it encouraging. Well, it is encouraging, but I also want to keep it motivated for you guys as well. I know lots of peeps have short attention spans. So Ashton, real quick, we're gonna call this our rapid squirrel moments throughout these interviews. Name a song that you wrote that you regret.
I probably can't think of the song name, but I can tell you songs. I say anything before 2020, man, honestly, anything before 2016. If you heard anything from me from before like 2016, dog, like I probably regret making it. Like I would probably listen to that and cringe. And it's people that have definitely very much know stuff from me from before that. You know what I'm saying? And I would cringe. I cringe at a lot of my older music, and a lot of people. I think it's just me growing and grown as an artist. You ask me honestly, I probably regret anything that's before like 2019, honestly. But it's necessary. I understand it. It's part of the process. Yeah, for sure. I probably all those songs. I probably regret them. Like, I cringe at them for sure when I hear them. But I'm not mad at them. I'm thankful for them. You know, I ain't mad at them. Got nothing but love for you. Do your thing, Womp.
So Jeremiah decides that he wanted me to pick him up, and he picked me up and he just grabbed me. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he grabbed me and then he just gave me a kiss. And while he was giving me a kiss, he grabbed my glasses, and I thought he was being sweet, but he was just using me. He knows my language. He's like, let me give mom a kiss really quick. And in the same sense, grab her glasses. And that's what he did. And then he went on and left me. So just great, Jeremiah. Okay, so that's interesting. I did not anticipate that answer, that anything before 2016 is something that you regret. It's so funny, right? Because I remember when we met and you actually didn't give it to me right away. I remember being upset with you, not really upset, but just like calling him out, because when I met Ashton, I had no idea that he even did music. And so I remember hearing it from one of my friends, was like, I forgot what she said, but she was saying that Ashton does music. And I said, what? we have been talking, and I mean, we at that point was talking like every day, and he's never mentioned anything about music. So I called him out on it. And then the next time we met, which we used to go to the bowling alley often, and he had gave me a CD. But I remember you telling me that you were actually a bit nervous to give me a CD. And I really admired the fact that y'all, Ashton used to have, his mom knows, used to have those CDs, and he would get his markers and he would write on it with that ugly handwriting on them CDs, and he'll give it to anybody. He was, it was and still is very strategic in, I mean, he would give it to anyone and everyone. But the one song, which is funny that you say that you cringe, because I was thinking about this song a couple of days ago, but it was the song where you it's talking about Bag of Chips. That's what I remember about it. Gosh, I forgot what the song is called, but it was on his CD, and I used to play it over and over and over and over again. So that is hilarious. I'm going to probably go and try to find one of those the something back then. I know I can find something in that Yahoo, and I'm gonna probably share it with y'all. So that's funny that it's cringing, be a good flashback Friday. But yes, he did. Yes, this handed him out faithfully.
Hey,
yes.
but look though, I do want to say this. First of all, Majaya, come get your nephew, and mom, come get your grandson. But I was never that rapper though that was like pushing, just being, oh, I'm this rapper. Like I never was like that. More than likely somebody's gonna tell you about me than I was gonna before I would tell you about me. I think that's how I was, because I felt like that's a cringe too. I felt like when people kind of, and don't get me wrong, like me now, I'm be like, hey, promote yourself. But like me back then, I'm like, man, I'm gonna wait till somebody else say something about it, and then when somebody else tell you, then I'm gonna like, yeah, check me out. Like I don't think I was ever shy. I think that's a misconception to me. People that don't know me, I think they, because I got a quiet presence, they think like, oh, he must be shy. And honestly, I'm honestly not, bro. I really would walk up and talk to anybody, strangers that I don't know. So in that sense, yeah, I very much was good on pitching myself or promoting myself to people. But Lord. But yeah, nah. I definitely, them CDs, I'm sure there's a lot somewhere around. I heard somebody had something one day to me, and they were like gatekeeping. They were like, they wouldn't give my own stuff. They're like, yeah, I got something. Yeah. I'm like, dang, can I get? No, you can't. I'm like, that's messed up. But yeah, shout out to them days, man.
That is so hilarious, so funny. But yes, love that, love it.
Jaya said he's close to getting the duvet. Keep going.
The duvet.
Yeah.
That's my sister commenting about the duvet. I have a duvet, black duvet here, and I guess she's trying to make sure Jeremiah gets that duvet. She wants it so bad, but I paid too much money for it. And Ashton, I'll never forget when I did get the duvet. I remember him saying, "So you bought a cover that you put a cover in," and so I'll never forget that. So no, Jaya, you can't have the duvet. Jeremiah, would you like to say something? Okay, I guess no. I guess not. All right, so wanted to move on from that. Um, no, son, you can't get this. Okay. All right, so wanted to fast forward, Ashton. When talk to us about, because I vividly remember this, us going through something, and when we went through this, I recall you making a decision that you actually wanted to stop music. And I remember that time frame like it was yesterday, very impactful. But I would love for you to actually talk about what actually, and I know this is very personal, but what happened during that time, right? Like what caused you to make the decision that you wanted to stop? And obviously we're still here. So what also happened that caused you to make that decision that you were going to continue?
Yeah. Okay, and mom, shoot. I ain't even got nothing to play the CDs on, so that's cool that you got them though, for sure. I'm gonna have to go just look at them, just see my handwriting on them. For me, it was a point in time. Honestly, nah, I ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother thing. I may get in that later. But for me, it was a point in time. Honestly, I ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother thing. I may get in that later. But for me, it was a point in time. Honestly, I ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother thing. I may get in that later. But we all as artists has our ups and downs. It probably crossed my mind like every other week. I ain't gonna hold you, and I'm pretty sure a lot of artists may feel the same. It's just what we put into this. Sometimes it can be very very draining, and very intrusive in the sense of people getting a glimpse into your life, especially when you're not too fond of allowing everybody into your life and in your space. But there was a time, I'll say, I want to say this probably like 2014, where there was a transition in my life, and at this time period I had gave my life to God. There was a lot of things that incurred for me to get to that position, and I thought that when I did this was a necessary step. I didn't know of any people that were men of God that rap in that space that were not just straight like um I'm gonna hold that because I don't want to disrespect anyone. But that's not just that just didn't do music a certain type of way. And I never seen it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this means that I gotta drop this too. And I was even encouraged by people to stop as well. And I remember like being at my grandparents' house, and my cousin, shout out three, he had came, and I remember having a conversation. He just so happened to be there at the time, and I was having a conversation with him, and he was like, wait, you stopping music? He was like, man, you the motivation. Like, you can't do that. Like in a sense, they literally like literally like he got a gun in my head, like, nah, you can't do that. That's not up for debate. That's not an option. You can't do that. And I think it was also real because I think for me, I seen how music can negatively influence people early. You know what I'm saying? Even if, like I said, I was always big cousin, big bro, you know what I'm saying? So the things that I say, I cannot not be that when I'm rapping, you know what I'm saying? So the things that I say, they correlate to the people that surround me, and I'm seeing that those affect as well as seeing the effect the bigger artists that are having like on younger cousins, nephews, younger brother. And I'm like, dang, I want to be that. And then I think that was the first time I ever really seen that positive effect in the sense of like you are actually, you don't realize how motivating you are, you know what I'm saying, by using this gift. Just by simply using this gift, you don't realize, how you motivate people. And for me, that was just the motivation to keep going at that point. So that's what kept me going through that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like even God was speaking to me in a sense of it was an overcorrection, because I feel God was like, I'm transitioning to you first from some things. But you know what I'm saying? I couldn't fake it. Like I had to be who I was. So God had to do a work on me personally first. You know what I'm saying? I had to change as a person to be able to correlate this in the music. I that it started there first. And I think that's one thing that artists forget. Or I won't even say artists forget, it's not for everybody, but me as an artist, bro, once it hits the music, it's already happened in my life. Like I'm only correlating. That's why another reason this project is called Diaries, because I'm correlating my life. You know what I'm saying? And so for me to be I couldn't like hyper clean it up. You know what I'm saying? I have to really clean my life up first before I can correlate that into my music. And it was definitely a process that I went back through, and I went back to where I started in the first place. Even when this happened, I went back to poetry, and then from poetry I got back into music again, and it was kind of like a restart, you know what I'm saying, of just like representing a spiritual rebirth as well that I was going through.
Yeah. Whew, that's a deep one. That was a heavy, heavy time frame for sure. And so the reason, so this is the what happened was, so we were, you guys, we were, intending to start this live at 7:30, and it was 7:29, and we was getting ready to press, go. And I received the phone call, and I was like, oh, I'm receiving a call. It's an important call that we were waiting for. But I was just like, you know what? I'll just do it later. Let's go ahead and do the live. But Ash was like, no, go ahead and answer it. Go ahead and answer it. So I answered it. And funny enough, I was having a conversation. This was a stranger who I was talking with. And when I first started talking to her, and I shared this with Ashton, conversation was very dry, very, but maybe about 15 minutes later, no, probably about 20 minutes later, she was asking questions and I was just responding. She was asking about, what we do, what Ashton and I do. And while I was having a conversation with her, one thing I said, because she asked, oh, because she asked, do we go to church? And I said, well, yeah, we actually have ministries, right? And she's like, oh, okay, that's pretty, that's awesome. Like, what do you do? And she got so excited. I told her about prayer meet, and we've had Bible studies, and I also spoke about music. And I think she didn't, she didn't, when she asked like about church, I mentioned what we do. I mentioned, yes, we have prayer meet. Yes, we have Bible studies. We have our businesses. But in that, I also spoke about the music. And I said, yeah, my husband, in his ministry, with what he does with his music, he appealed to those who have went through something that he's went through, or, so I think that was a shock to her, because oftentimes when people just ask about church, we always think just this one way. And I am so grateful that obviously you made the decision to continue to do it, because I vividly remember people who you trusted, actually people who you looked up to, right, saying, no, you can't be a rapper, you can't do that. And I think that's so important. That discernment is important, but also just really knowing what God has told you to do and not what people tell you to do. So I love that story, and I think that it's just so important to highlight this, especially with us talking about Dirt Road Diaries. Like, we're talking, that's really us going back to the roots. So want to get a little bit more deep and personal here. And I'll just be honest, guys, there's times where it'll just be random. And I'll ask Ashton this random thing. And this may be random, but I'll ask him like, so tell me about something that happened today that was, a challenge. So I'm going to ask that same thing to you. And what you do, I know you mentioned it earlier, this is by no means easy. What would you say your greatest challenge is, as an artist, just as a music artist? What you've been doing this for many years professionally, it's probably been about a good 6 or 7 years. So I would love for you to share that. What are some things that you really do that's really challenging for you?
I feel like, and again, I can't speak for every artist, but I know for me, the greatest challenge, honestly, as an artist, is just getting people to listen to you. Um, and I know it sounds very simple, but I feel like that's the hardest part. Honestly, when people listen and when people do tune in, you're only gonna get one or two reactions. It's either people like it or they don't. Either they vibe with it or they won't. But getting people to listen is the hardest part. You would think it's the easy, but it's the hardest. And it really don't matter who it is. It can be people that are close to you, people that are friends, people that are family, and it's different stages of it too. Because in the beginning, it's getting people to listen because they don't take you serious in a way. Afterwards, it's getting people to listen because they feel like you're at a certain state that you don't really need them to listen, or you don't really need them to support. And it's like, no, I still need that support. Like, I still need that. Don't stop that. Like, definitely. And also, it's like, genuinely listen. Sometimes you will get people that may listen on a surface level and they're not really listening, but I really, what I'm saying, you may be looking because I'm listening. I'm looking at this because I need to know what's connecting and what's not connecting. This is actually helping me out. And you got people that's just like, yeah, I'll check it out, and like, you don't never really hear anything from that point. So I definitely say really getting people to listen to your art, but also listening to you as a person, and really listening to what you are putting out and portraying what you are putting out, because some people may look at the external, and they either like Shane spoke about people that I was looking up to, or people that's in the church that may view it a certain way and be like, oh, well, he's a certain type of person. I don't want to listen to this because I already look and see how he looks, and just because of how he look, I don't want to listen to it. Or you got the other side, people that may come from a certain area, and they may look at me and be like, well, I recognize that, but at the same time, I know he's trying to keep things more on the positive side, or more on the clean side. Usually people that do that, they're not very good at it or it don't sound very good. So I don't even want to check it out, honestly. Um and like I said, that's it's so many different aspects that work in. But I think the hardest part is just getting people to listen, and it's really as simple as that. I would say the next thing, if I had to say anything else, is just keeping folks out your business. Like honestly, quite frankly, it's just keeping folks out your business. I think we are in the age of information, social media, and everything else, and you got these people that tell you as an artist you have to share this and share that, and everybody wants to know so much about you. And it's like, bro, I still am a human being. There's still things that I want to keep to myself. There's still things that I just want to be Ashton. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to display this part of my life because I feel like this is a private part of my life. I don't have to put out everything. I don't have to display everything. I put enough in my music, honestly. That goes back to, if you really want to get to know me, then maybe you should start taking a listen. And I think that's like number two, or like the hardest thing is just finding that balance in between promoting yourself as an artist, putting your personality out there as an artist, and still having that privateness, because honestly this the with that part of myself is what I create from anyways. So if I put myself too much out there, honestly I don't have enough creativity left to be able to continue to create. And so I think that's like the hardest part, honestly.
Hmm, that's something. Yeah, I know we've spoken about that, of getting people to listen. And I do want to just give a disclaimer. We do not ever have any expectations of our loved ones, of friends, family. We're not, we don't have the mindset of, oh, you don't listen to him, you don't support him, because that's not the case, right? We look at every single individual, and it took some time to understand that, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's just part of maturity. It's just like I think about with God, we have free will. He gives us that choice, right, to accept him. So when it even comes down to this music thing, we don't, we never, it's never personal. There's times where there's a person who may not be what may be called as like a core fan, but they hear a song from Ash and they love it and they play it over and over and over, and that's their song, and that's okay. We love that, right? And then you have those who they're going to be on every single thing, every project. There's levels to it. And so I just want to make sure there's clarity there when we talk about listening. Please know that it's not even just talking about the people who know him. Like, listening, it's the marketing, it's being like strategic, because this is the way he feeds his family. So I just want to make sure that was there was clarity around what you were saying when you were speaking about that. Moving on from this, we're going to do another squirrel. Okay, so the squirrel is, give me just one artist, a dream collab. You can choose anyone right now to do a collab with. Who would that be?
I appreciate that, mama. Yeah, you definitely, my dude's definitely been rocking out. My dream collab, honestly, you know how I am with these type of questions. I gotta go cross genres. Shan already know how I do. Anyways, rap wise, J. Cole. R&B wise, I would go between Bryson Tiller, and probably Brent Fayez, maybe. I'm definitely missing somebody, but the blend definitely between rap and hip hop would definitely be T-Pain. Um, let's see. I can give you some country, I can give you some pop, but I'm gonna leave it at that though.
I don't even know why I just did that, y'all, because just yesterday we were riding around, just cruising the city, and I told Ashton, I said, I'm going to make sure that in the future, whenever there are interviews, that I will let the people know there is one question that is off limit for Ashton, and that question was, who's your top 5? You cannot ask Ashton who his top 5 is, because he will take a good 10 minutes or so, because it's always between that number 4 or 5 that changes, and it just depends on the day, and then he needs you to clarify. And then here I am asking a question that he needs clarification for. So thank you for that. I'm going to add that to the list of, that's another one that that cannot be asked. So Love it. So, Ashton, this is another thing that I want to talk about. It's interesting. So, shout out to PA on the track. I know you've been working with PA. He is very talented, creative. He is, guys. Jeremiah is just really showing out. But he is a producer. He's an engineer. Very, very talented at what he does. Very talented. But there was a time where you were actually doing some production as well. Please do tell the people about that.
I hated it, honestly. I hated producing, bro. It's so tedious to me. But I was going to school at the time at Full Sail, and I was going through the program, and I was, they were teaching us how to produce. I feel like, honestly, yeah, man. Shout out to PA 1000%, man. Dude is a genius. Dude is he's a great producer. And also more important, I feel like the skill that stands out with him is his work ethic. He's very hard working. And I'm gonna piggyback off of that because I'll say that I've done it before, and it's not easy, dog. Like, it's so tedious. People think like, oh, you just take what's in your head, you hear that beat in your head, and you just put it there, and it's gonna come. Like, no, bro, you gotta move all these little bitty things. You gotta shift this and do that, and make sure this is on point, and make sure this tempo, and make sure this sound like. It's so much that goes into that. That's the reason why I was like, I eventually I want to get back into it one day. But I have to have a lot of patience to really get back into producing again. But yeah, I definitely did. I had a couple mixtapes that I did some production on as well. A couple of my previous mixtapes, I think one was Providence. I think one was I think I did some on Growth 2. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and there was probably like one or two more. But I did it, at one point in time, but I ain't like it. I ain't gonna sit up here and cap you down. I don't like producing real. I don't like producing. I don't like engineering, honestly. And I've done both. And if in sense of engineering, like mixing, I record myself, but like engineering mixing, I don't like that stuff, bro. That's why I always give it up to those who do it, because I know what it takes to do it. And I think I definitely got an ear for it, but I more so like, kind of I don't want to say Kanye, because Kanye definitely does more, and I'm not going to disrespect him in the sense of what he does, but the overall of what people like him do is they kind of oversee the production, and they like, yeah, let's do this, and let's take that, let's add that, let's do something around geared to this, and I kind of like that part of producing. I don't really like actually making the beat though. I don't like beat making, but I do like producing. I was just talking to Shan. And I was like, one of my dreams is actually to executive produce on somebody's project. I would love to do that on somebody else's project and just like be the executive producer of helping put it together, and watching somebody's vision come to life. But me saying making a beat, man, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Another squirrel moment, guys. I don't know if y'all realize, but we're matching. Well, you probably did realize it, but this was actually not intentional, just so you know. But I have on the white, and then Ashton's white. It's just happens to be matching. So, anyways, that was a squirrel. I was just looking as he was talking. I'm just like, yeah, we're matching. There's that. But okay, Ashton, yesterday we were talking, and you had actually brought up well, who was that you brought up? Kendrick. You brought up Kendrick. And I think it was Kendrick. And you were talking about no, you were talking about Kodak. And you were talking about flocking, and you was mentioning how, like, how like the whole thing about the song. So I want to actually ask you, because you said, you was telling me like Kodak basically mentioned that he absolutely hate to hear that song, right? Is there any song of yours that you do not enjoy? Is there any song that sort of like triggers you, or you just like, let me turn that, I don't really want to hear it? I know you said that you have some songs that you regret, but anything particular that you can think of that is just sort of like, oh, I hate hearing this song, I don't like, probably wish I never put it out type thing?
The song, out of the songs that's out on like now, like on all the platforms, I can't really say I have a song like that I hate hearing, or I get tired of performing this song, anything like that, honestly. Um I would definitely say, because a lot of my stuff be so personal, it is things that may bring up moments in my life, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. And if I'm in a certain headspace, I may don't want to hear it, because I may not want to think about that. But honestly, man, God good. He healed me from a lot of things. So it doesn't really trigger me in that sense or to that extent. So I can't really think of any song. I probably have some songs, and it may not be not hearing them, but I'll think of like me as a grown from the artist that I may have been right then. I may be like that. I should have did that. I should have said that at that point. I should have added that ad lib. Or, I probably just analyze it like that. But I won't. It's not like not wanting to hear it. I still think it's good for sure.
Thank you for using that. You just said healing. God is healed. I would love to actually just briefly hear something that, because we're talking about, again, Dirt Road Diaries, and I feel that this is very personal, right? We're talking about upbringings, we're talking about who you are, and I'm very blessed to have been able to witness a lot of these transformations, right? Is there anything, and I mean, even if it's related to musically or personally, but anything that you would like to communicate? Because I think it's also important, right, to connect with your who we always call family, right? To really know the you, because that will show in the music. But anything that you have struggled with, and just anything particularly, and you like, how did you overcome that?
Um, it's a lot of things, honestly. I'm gonna try to keep something on theme that is spoke on in the project. And the first thing that kind of comes to my mind when I think of something that I spoke on in the project is the overall theme also of just being overlooked. Because you got where we from is overlooked. Um, in a sense of me growing up and being a type of uh reserved person, you often kind of feel overlooked, or you feel like people don't necessarily hear you like that. Um, and that's one thing I will say that I kind of heal from, of not always feeling like you have to be heard, honestly. And just healing from the times where you wasn't heard like that. And so I'll say that's one thing I definitely healed from, and was a struggle of mine. Sometimes I still go through that though. Sometimes I still go through, like, man, I feel like people are not hearing me, you know what I'm saying? Or I feel overlooked in a sense. And I think we all kind of feel that in a sense. But yeah, at times. But that's one thing I definitely say, healing. I definitely speak on that because it's a theme of this project, honestly. And yeah, I'll definitely say that. I appreciate that, sis. Growth forward is that jam, man.
Yeah, agree, right? There's sometimes, I think, I was actually talking to my mother-in-law about this, but I was speaking with someone, and this individual was sort of talking about the challenges that she was having, and I was like, yeah, we're having, we're going through some things as well. And it almost as if she responded in a shocked, like she was shocked about it. And I say all that to say, is like, sometimes when you are like, I don't want to say strong ones in the family, because I know that term is often used, but when you are, a certain leader of your family, let's just say that, or, the a source of your family, the one that many family members often, go to, that they can forget that you also have challenges and that you struggle with things. And so I'm grateful for you sharing that, because you are very encouraging and motivating. And we're very grateful to have you and your music and everything that you've done. Right. I mean, there's nothing that goes unnoticed. I mean, down to the singles, the projects. I know how hard you work to put that together. And so it's very appreciative for you to be vulnerable and sharing those things, the things that you've been challenged with. So we kind of going through, got to this, we have the project that's just released, right? Wonderful feedback. I won't ask you what your favorite song on the project is, but I would love for you to share something that maybe that happened while you were making this project. Yeah, something. I would love for you to share a story. I think that would be, I know you mentioned how, when I asked you how did you put it together, and you're like, I really don't know. But anything that happened. I know last project was interesting, of the PA's computer sort of been wiped or whatnot. But yeah, we'd love for you to share something with us on that.
Um, yeah, I honestly every song on the project got a story, and I'll probably dive as we progress through this journey. I'll probably dive into more of like the story behind each song, but I guess I'll start with the intro for real, like how the intro even came and where that came from. So I was at a wedding reception, and the sample of that song was playing, and
Shout out to Nikki.
yeah, shout out to my cousin Nikki. I was at her wedding, and at her reception, my person who was also my cousin, shout out to Cheese. He was DJing and he played Encore. And I'm sorry, I cannot think of Miss name right now. I can't think of her name. The person who made that song. It's a popular song though. I think it's popular in general, but for sure, I remember growing up that song. I remember hearing that song. You're gonna hear that at every cookout, every something gathering with black people. You're gonna hear that song for sure. I think it's just a big Florida song because I heard it remixed a lot by Florida artists as well. And I think it was that. And then with me growing up, I remember Pleasure P had made he remade his own version of that song. I used to love that song. And so when he played it, I remember where I wanted to go with this project. I was like, dog, I really want feel good music. And when he played that song, I was like, see, that's it right there. Like that's what I always hear it. Yes, Cheryl Lynn, thank you so much. That's what I always hear like cookouts and stuff like that. And so when he played it, I had hit PA. If it wasn't that day, it was like the next day. I was like, yo, we got to do this song right here. And this is going to be the intro, bro. I said, like, when he made that beat and I heard it, I was like, oh, I'm just going in. This gonna be one. I pray that they don't expect like no hook or nothing on this song. I'm just gonna go in on this one. And then as I was putting it together, um, it was the beginning segment of it. I didn't really know I was gonna go with it. I just started going, and I remember being like thinking to myself, okay, we speaking on like back home. I wanted to really give a shout to artists that inspired me. You know what I'm saying? And it was specifically I really wanted to give a shout out to lyrical artists because people when they outside of Florida, they look at Florida, they don't think that we have lyrical artists. They don't think that we have artists that can really rap. And I don't even want to say really rap because I believe if you rap, you really rap. Whether you street, whether it don't matter, like you still really rap. But I think in a sense of being more geared to your skill set instead of like anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like really being able to spit. And I really wanted to give a shout to artists that influenced me on that end that I remember listening to coming up. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I started giving a shout out to, and I remember even hitting my cousin up. I hit my cousin Jay and I was like, hey, who is listening to? We listen to songs. Oh yeah, right. And I was like, I'll go back and write a line about this artist. Go back and write. Of course, I couldn't fit everybody in there, but I did give a good shout and also kind of like did some wordplay off of their name or maybe the phrases that they use and stuff like that. And then just went through, finished writing the whole part of it, and it just went where it went. Like I just went wherever it took me to. It a lot of it was still speaking on like coming up, growing up, and just in general. And I remember after I was finished, it was already hard. It was already solid, right? So I sent it back to PA, and he actually did even more to it. So like when you really listen to Writing Session 3, every single section of the song is actually different. Like every part of the beat it switches up, and that's why I continue to switch up so many times because he was like, I really want to match how the different flows that you use on it. So he actually went back and like added more to the production and stuff like. And I feel like it really brought the song out. Like that's a perfect way to start the project. And I feel like that also represents like heavily where we from, and just bringing that aspect of it is different though. It may not be what you think it is because people from the outside looking in, they may view it as one way, but I'm here to bring you another perspective of it. I'm here to show you that I really take this craft serious too at the same time, and I can really go. You can put me, even though I may be from the deep south, you can put me up here with like these higher East Coast artists or these New York rappers, and I give them a run for their money, anybody, any day. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just displaying that honestly and having fun with it. So I was like the story behind Writing Session 3. I had fun making that one for sure.
And Writing Session 3 is definitely my favorite. Sometimes, you know, in this in what we do, you have to take your personal likes, your personal feelings and opinions. You have to really put it aside and look at it you know, in the lens of the fans. And that is so hard. That can be hard sometimes. It truly can. And then even with Ashton and I, him being the creative, I'm on the managing side. And so oh yeah, Writing Session and Ducks, that is definitely that's one for sure. But you know, we have to kind of really put a lot of those feelings aside. Like even Writing Session 3 is my favorite. So even when Ashley and I was talking about just some, you know, strategies of what we are going to do, off the bat, I was like, well, you know, my favorite is this one, but you know, we often can't, you know, kind of talk or can't just focus on those things that alone. But I love the project. I've listened to it probably about 3 or 4 times. First, what I typically do is I'll listen to it as a fan, because the whole time when we're putting this together or when it's being put together, right? You have to you're listening to it in a different way. You're listening to making sure that the engineering and the production and the like everything is where it needs to be. And then after the release is when we're able to really listen to it as a fan, right? What has been, you know, from your feedback? I know it hasn't been a you know, a long, it hasn't been, I mean, it's what, 24 hours? Just we've not even hit 24 hours, right? Or we've hit 24 hours. Anyways, it's not been long. What's been the highlight songs that you've received the most feedback? And the one thing we do know, this song is longer, or this project, right? It's longer than some of the projects he's been putting out. So I know it's going to take some time to digest, because I think I was on my third listen, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I really like Ducks. But during the creative portion of it, Ducks was not one of my tops, right? Session 3 was my number one, and Corinthians 13 as well. So I would love to hear, like, what's the feedback that you've received. I know we'll receive more. It always shows in the analytics, but just would love to hear that part. And was there any one of these that you were shocked by?
So just catching up comments. PA, I definitely tell you had fun making that beat. Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Ducks for sure. That's the outro for those that haven't had a chance to check it out. I'll say this: the intro and the outro are very intentional in how we did those two. Very, very, very intentional. Very solid tracks. Perfect way to start it. Perfect way to end it. To be honest, as far as feedback on the songs or people that saying like what song stood out, a lot of people that's giving me feedback, it really hasn't been song specific. A lot of people just have listened to the project as a whole and they just love the whole project. They were saying, you know, just saying like how the project made them feel and how they feel about the project. But I have got a couple people that have spoken on highlight songs. Of course, Writing Session 3 and Ducks. Of course, that's the intro and the outro, which I'm not surprised. People usually will lean more toward the intro and the outro. I'm not surprised by that. I've gotten Corinthians 13. And I've gotten so I've gotten 850 to 305. I've gotten Corinthians 13. So far I've gotten feel like it's one I'm missing that comes up a lot. Yeah, I'll say those. I've heard those multiple times, but I definitely feel like it's another one that I'm missing out of those. But I'll say like out of those, I'll definitely say yeah, Corinthians 13 is fire, man. I love Fruits of My Labor for sure. 850-305 for sure. What's good, Nisi? I see you now. What's up, fam? Yeah, I'll definitely say that. Yeah. We had fun making Corinthians 13 too, but that one was kind of tedious. That was a little bit more of a tedious track to make.
Yes, yes. I feel that we have some little breakdowns coming soon. All right, it's time for our squirrel moments. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You ready for it? You ready? Okay. First question, Ashton. What is your go-to comfort food after a long studio session?
Something quick and easy, man. After a long studio session, either before and after I go to the studio, I don't like eating a lot or going through the recording process. I would like something quick and clean. Um, Chicken breast, some veggies, something like that, or something on the fat boy side, something greasy, burger, fries, something quick, clean. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like heavy. I don't like eating like super duper heavy food. Either while I'm recording, when I'm finna record, or when I get finished. Honestly, it'll probably be like a snack. Um, Usually my recording time has changed now because of Mr. Jeremiah right here. And yes, since I did see you ask, he is definitely asleep. And yeah, it do take a dog to know a dog, so you will know. Um, he said I like food. I know you can't tell it, right? I don't really like it, but trust me, I be eating. I be eating. My family can contest. I eat, but I play like I don't eat a lot. But so I can get more food. Hold on, let me finish.
I need y'all to know he definitely does eat. We don't get any food stamps. If you would like to make any donations, I'll be more than happy to put the cash out up there. Okay, you can get. I needed that to be known.
I forgot what I was answering.
Just the comfort food.
That was it.
One. Yeah.
Dang, I feel like I was going somewhere. All right.
Okay. Ashley gave us 3 answers, by the way. He said he would like something light, chicken breast. He loves his chicken breast. And then he gave us burgers, which is not light, which is greasy. He said something greasy. And then he said a snack. So Ashton just will eat anything.
I was gonna say coffee for sure. Cause usually I'm recording in the morning. Now that Jeremiah's came, I really don't record at night like that no more. So I'm usually starting with a coffee, and I usually don't eat nothing until about 12 anyway. So
Your mother said you are a big back. He is a big back. All right. So second squirrel rapid moment is, who would play you in a movie? And no one who's related to you. Tell me who would play you in a movie.
a real nigga. Let me see. Let me see. Somebody play me in a movie. Shoot. Honestly, if I had to name somebody, I would honestly say uh it'd either be one of my nephews. I'll say either mine or Mari. I'd be like Mari. And I call back if you remember my project NSD, we had did some promo, and he had actually played younger me, because I feel like they would be the one who honestly looks the most like me at that age. Other than that, it'd be like Jeremiah, honestly. I can't really think of nobody that looks that much like me that would be able to play me growing up. But if it hadn't been that, I say that. I don't know who would play the adult me though. I don't know who would play me as an adult. I mean, it's kind of weird to think about that, honestly, but I don't know. Ask me that in like 10 more years, and I might have another answer for that. For the adult me, I think that needs to be updated. But yeah.
All right. And this is the very last rapid question before we get to our final question. But if you were not doing music, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing music, that'd be my squirrel mind too, because I immediately thought about a song. If you know what song I thought about. If I wasn't rapping, continue that. Finish that for yourself. If I wasn't doing music, I honestly think I would be into something to do with animals. I think I'd be like a scientist. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I'm a nerd with that type of stuff. I always have been. I think that's what I wanted to be very, very young. I was always into animals and stuff. I would probably be into um some type of something to do knowledge wise. I don't know. I think I would be very, whatever I was doing, I think I'll say like this. I would be 100% on whatever I will be doing. I think I always kind of been that person. Whatever I'm doing, I'm fully in it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think whatever I would be doing, I would be 100% into it. So I wouldn't just be like okay at it. I would be really good at it, or I would be striving to be great at what I'm doing. But if I just off the top, I would just go back to thing that I loved as a kid, and that was science, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature, and just learning. Oh, I'm the random facts guy, you know what I'm saying? Not the random facts that matter. It's just the random facts that when we just bored, I'd be like, hey, lions sleep through the day. You know what I'm saying? They don't really be up during the day, right? They be up at night. Crazy, right? Disney, or I'd be something like, Disney depicted these animals this way. They don't really even do that. That's crazy, ain't it? Yeah, for sure. And then you just continue on day. You be like, appreciate that information, I guess. You may need it though. I don't know. You may need that one day. But yeah, that's like me.
Very much so. It's hilarious because I have we would go to, like, I know I went to my cousin and sis and asked the question, who's the weirdest out of Ashton and I? And I asked this question because we would say, okay, this is what we do in our spare time. In my spare time, I like to research things, and whatever comes to my mind, I'll go and research it, and I'll go very deep into the research. I want to know it all. And Ashton likes to listen to, he'll be on YouTube or something, and he's looking into animals, like what they do, just all about their habitat. He likes to look at what is it, videos, movie
Yes,
reviews behind.
I love it.
And it's interesting because what the consensus is that I'm the weirdest. The research, the going to read about this certain stuff is weirder. Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't make sense.
And following up on that, and this gonna bounce back to the previous question, I probably would be a script writer, honestly, because of the writing skill. I always, on my spare time, that's another thing I do. I like look at how movies were made, or the behind the scenes of movies, or like in-depth reviews of movies and stuff like that. Or I'll watch people clown like bad movies. It's funny to me. I don't know, because it's usually like when they be clowning, they're inherently clowning the writing of the movie. They're not really clowning like sometimes it is how it's producing. That may be done bad. But I can tell when a movie got bad writing. And that junk is so funny to me. Like, I'd be like, who would say that in real life? Why would you write that in the movie? Like, come on, bro. Or what trips me out is like, I'm trying to be I'm gonna tell it straight. When somebody else from another culture writes a movie from to another culture. For example, if somebody, and I'm saying culture, I don't want to make it skin tone black or white, because you have white people that very much grew up in a black culture that could write a black movie from firsthand, reverse as well. A black person that grew up in a white culture that could write it from their perspective as well. But when a person that is of nothing has to do with this culture writes a movie for this culture, and I mean write like a deep cultural movie, it's funny to me because the dialogue and the writing, I'd be like, we would not say that, bro. Like, we would not. And the fact that you could get an actor to say that is funny to me. But yeah, I'll probably be a script writer or something like that. I'll probably be some type of writer, honestly.
All right. And yet the consensus is that I'm the weirder one. Okay. All right. I think people be a bit biased. That's what I think.
People just know you. That's what it is.
Nah, I think
you know you. They know you're weird.
I think people are biased. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. Well, I want to ask this very last question, guys. I've enjoyed. This is my first interview. I think it's my first interview with me being the interviewer, the fake interviewer. So thank you so much for you who've hopped in and stayed with us, even if it was for a few minutes. We appreciate that. But I want to ask one last question. Very much a celebration with this new project. We'll be doing so much. There's a lot coming. Just know the way that we are approaching this one is going to be quite different. And honestly, I feel that it's important for it to be different because our life is different. Everything is different. And so as time moves, as we go into new seasons, I believe that your life, your approaches to things will impact infect that as well. So lastly, right, you've put together this amazing project, and it is truly amazing. And Ashton knows that I'm very transparent. That's what I love about prior to this is we are able to be very very truthful with one another, very truthful with one another. And so I'm excited about it. I love it. Although there's 11 songs on the project, it's only 30 minutes, guys, 32 minutes to be exact, which I remember when I was listening to it, I was like, this is not long enough, right? This is not long enough for me. Which I love it. But before we get off of here, if you can leave the people with one thing, right? Someone listen to this project, one thing that you want them to get from this, or you want this project to be known for, what is that exactly?
The one thing I would like people to know, and I would like people to understand or get from this project, and it's a big thing through this project. When you listen, you will know, especially if you listen to the songs fully through, you'll hear that there are diary entries at the end of some of these songs. I will want you to know that um I'm gonna just say it like this: just because you have a house, it doesn't make it a home. And I think a lot of us, we go through searching for a home and physical things, and it's not gonna fulfill the yearn that you have for your soul, for your emotion, and for your spirit. And especially people that come from broken homes, we go over and beyond to create what we feel and what we think of, what we dreamed of is as a home. And to be honest, even if you're technically homeless, you can still have a home. You know what I'm saying? Home is God. Home is the people that you love. Home is doing what you love. You know what I'm saying? That's home. You know what I'm saying? That's peace. And quite frankly, we only here for a limited time anyways. You know what I'm saying? So this really ain't even your home. This is just a temporary part of the grand scheme of life. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't get nothing else, I want you to get that. I want you to get a piece of who I am, a little bit more of who I am, where I'm from, and what makes me who I am. You know what I'm saying? The bits and pieces of things in this project that scattered there, like DNA of like who Ashton is anyways. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to make sure you get that as well. And maybe to shed a little bit more light on the reason why I do what I do, and what's behind it. And yeah, that's really the biggest thing from this project that I want people to get.
Thank you for your vulnerability and allowing me to come up here and ask, and your patience, and especially with Jeremiah, because boy, he was taking us through it. But I had to just get him, y'all know, y'all probably saw me rocking, but he's asleep now. Thank the Lord, he is asleep. But thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed this, guys, and I hope that you were able to learn something about Ashton and see another side to him. Because even me as his wife, Ashton is he's an open book, but then he's very intriguing. So there are some times where I'm like, so what are you thinking about right now? Like if I could have it my way, I would probably want to be inside of his brain. And I probably shouldn't say that because I probably wouldn't want to, but that's how it be. And so I be understanding, right? I understand how when he has family who listens, who are, huge fans of his, and they are asking those questions around, like, I want to know what you do. What do you eat when you wake up? I want to know and I mean, literally, he'll have those questions. Like, I want to know what you do from day to day. And we've even had some comments where people say, I wish I could be a fly on the wall at y'all's house. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't really want to know. It's nothing exciting or that crazy fun.
It will either look very wild or it'll be very boring.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because oftentimes we are in our works or something of that nature. But Jeremiah would probably be the entertainment for y'all. He would be the entertainment. But So anyways, guys, thank you so much. I thank you for joining us today. If you haven't had the chance to go in and stream Dirt Road Diaries, please do so. You can see it. You can actually get it anywhere, whether it's on, even on AudioMac. But it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever. And go a little bit further. If you see it, you like it, add it to your playlist. Listen to it. It's great for working out, for just riding around the city. I really enjoyed that yesterday, just playing it. I wanted to continue to play it over and over, but honestly, it was such a encouraging, it had me in my thoughts to where I started listening to some old Florida music. So it definitely did its job. So yeah, guys, make sure you do go listen to it, stream it. You can purchase it as well. I believe it's $9.99 if I'm not mistaken. So appreciate it. My mom has entered the chat because all I see was grandma's. The grandparents do not think he does any wrongs.
Not too much on her left.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes, PA merch will be actually so you'll see that actually by the end of this month is what we have put on our list to do. So guys, look out for that. Some new AME merch. We have not released anything since our redesign. Yeah. So we will be getting that out, announcing that. But if you haven't already, we also do have the Jubilee as well, as you guys see us rocking. So Jubilee, Ashton has 2 projects that was released in collab. I know this last one with PA on the track. So please do go out and see that. We thank you guys. We appreciate it. So thank you. Yeah. And Ashton, any last words that you want to leave the folks with?
Nah, peace and blessings to y'all. Let's talk soon.
All right. Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all so much. Good crack music. That's right, PA. I love it. All right. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.